be beaming, I be booming down that block. Everywhere you go, you know they know I'm hot.
What's the deal? What's going on, my good people? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you all are doing well. If this is your first time here, I want to welcome you. Pull up a seat. I hope you enjoy the content. And before we get into this video, I want to ask that you like, comment, share, subscribe, and go ahead and tap that bell while you're at it so you're notified anytime I drop a brand new video, go live, or schedule a premiere. All right, y'all. So today is story time. I'm about to just jump right into it. But before I do, I got two things. Number one, please be sure to share this video. Please, with your circle of friends on your favorite social media platform, whichever you prefer. And then number two, please be sure to watch the ads. This is for me and for any other content creator on YouTube. It's really a big help. That's it. Let's go ahead and jump into the story. So this story is about Camille Wallace. She's in her late 20s and, she's a business analyst. Things are going really well in her life. And she currently lives in New Mexico, but she is from Chicago, Illinois. So she's been in New Mexico because of her relationship that she's been in with Jamil. And her and Jamil have been together for about 6 years. And they've been engaged for the last year and a half. And things are going pretty good. Things are going good in their relationship. They have the typical ups and downs. They disagree on certain things. But a typical relationship, for the most part. They communicate pretty well. They are pretty compatible. And they want the same things out of life. Well, until recently. So over the last 4 to 5 months, Camille's just getting deeper and deeper in her profession and her career, and thinking about her life and what she wants to do. And just even how hard it is for her to do certain things for her and Jamil, let alone having kids, right? So the more she thinks about life and what it takes, to raise kids, and, you want to send them to college and all that stuff, she becomes really overwhelmed by the idea of having children. So eventually she gets to a point where she's just like, Jamil, I don't want kids. I realize I don't want kids. I don't know that I ever really wanted to have kids, to be honest with you. I just felt like something that I was supposed to do. I come from a big family, and I don't know that this is for me. And so Jamil is confused and kind of hurt by it, because being a father is something that's really, really important for him. It always has been, since he was 20, 21 years old. And, it's not like he tries to talk, Camille out of changing her mind. He respects where she's coming from, but he's also like, this is a deal breaker. This is going to be an issue in our relationship. I'm going to have to start over with someone that wants children. You know what I'm saying? Because if I continue this relationship with you, I don't want to resent you. I don't want to fall out of love with you. I don't want to feel differently towards you. So I think it's best for us to go our own separate ways. You know what I'm saying? And to be honest with you, Camille didn't see that coming. She thought that Jamil was going to be cool with her decision. And he is cool with it, but he still wants kids. She thought that, he would kind of be cool with not having kids too, but he's not. So they end up breaking up and ending their relationship. And, she's like, well, I only came to New Mexico to be with, Jamil. Where do I go next? And she doesn't want to go back home to Chicago. And so she makes a couple of phone calls and, looking at different jobs in different industries and different, big cities. She's looking in LA, San Francisco, she's looked in New York, she's looked around in different parts of the country, and she sees some really good opportunities in San Francisco. So she's never lived in San Francisco, has visited quite a few times, has a couple of friends out there. So she's really concerned about the housing market. It's really expensive in San Francisco. She's really asking herself, can I make it? And so she makes a good amount of money as a business analyst. And, depends on what her new salary is going to be. But she really has to wrap her mind around finding a roommate. So she places a couple phone calls, she starts applying for jobs, and, she's having some, online interviews, phone interviews, and things are going well. And she eventually gets offered, gets offered a business analyst position at a company. And, it's a big time company, and her salary is good. She gets a 15% increase, and she's like, all right, cool. But, as she's looking at apartments, she still is like, rent is steep. You know what I mean? I'm really going to be pushing it, paying all of this by myself. So she calls a couple of friends, they put a couple calls in for her as well. And she ends up, getting connected to someone who needs a roommate. Perfect. So she ends up moving in with this girl named Charlene, and her friend Gideon connected her to Charlene. And she really, really respects Gideon and his opinion about people. And he just is a good judge of character. You know what I'm saying? He keeps really good company. And she's like, all right, bet. So she goes to San Francisco. She moves in with Charlene. Things are going very well in their apartment. Things are well kept. She transitions into the apartment very well. They share space with no problem. And things are going good, you know. So when she moves in, you know, she's about 6 months into the lease, Charlene is. So there's another 6 months before it's time to renew, right? So over that course of that 6 months before it's time to renew, you know, she gets acclimated to the city. She gets into her new job. She goes through training. She's meeting new friends. And she's really just starting her life all over again. And, you know, just really leaving her relationship with Jamil in the past. You know, just really throwing herself into work, right? So now fast forward 6 months. Charlene and Camille agreed to renew the lease. But then suddenly Charlene is like, look, like, I have an opportunity overseas. And now I'm going to leave. Like, I'm not going to continue being in San Francisco. I'm going to go. So now it's short notice, and, you know, Camille is scrambling, doesn't have any leads for any other roommates. And she's like, all right, well, I want to hold on to the apartment. I'm going to find a roommate. You know, I wish you the best with everything you decide to do. You know, they get ready to part ways. So Charlene is getting her things together. And I'm going to say it's about 2 weeks before she's about to move out, right? And it's time to make a decision. So, you know, Camille puts herself out there, does something that she normally would never do. She starts posting on Craigslist and different roommate, you know, websites and stuff like that. And she interacts and meets a couple of people, and it just doesn't go well. People are either flaking, they don't really have stable employment, hygiene issues. Like, it's just different things that are just rubbing her the wrong way, letting her know that, you know, this may not be a good idea. So she reaches back into her network of friends and coworkers and associates, seeing if anybody, you know, knows somebody that needs a roommate, right? So her homeboy Gideon comes through again, and Gideon is like, hey, I know somebody, this girl named Erica. You know, Erica is an entrepreneur, and you're going to love her. She's really easygoing. And, you know, I've never had any problems with her. I've known her for about 2 or 3 years. I met her through some friends, and she seems like a really nice person. Like, I think that you guys would be a really great fit. So, you know, Camilla's open. She's like, all right, perfect. You know, getting Erica's information. I'll reach out to her. And Erica comes to the apartment, takes a look at the room, you know, loves the room, loves the space, loves that she has her own bathroom, loves the way that everything is decorated and set up. It's clean. And she's like, I'm in. I'll do it. You know what I'm saying? So it's perfect. So they go and sign a lease for a year, and things are good. You know what I'm saying? So Camille works, you know, and is getting acclimated to her new roommate. Life is good. You know, she's not thinking about dating or anything like that. She's just really focused on her career and taking, you know, herself as high as she can up the ladder, right? So as far as Camille knows, Erica is single, you know, that she's not in a committed relationship or anything like that, you know, because they did give each other, you know, they talked about their backgrounds quite a bit or whatever. And as far as she knows, she's single. So one night this woman comes over, and, you know, she seems friendly. She seems really nice. And she kind of makes her way into Erica's room. And the next morning, Camille sees the woman leave out as she's going to work, right? So then a couple of days go by, and then there's this guy that comes in. He's dressed like a professional. He comes in, he makes his way to Erica's room. And then same thing, she sees him leave the following morning when she's getting ready to go to work, right? So she kind of doesn't really think anything of it. She's like, maybe these are people that she's dating, you know. And the only thing she tells Erica at that point is just like, hey, just can you let me know when you have mail company, just so that I'm not in like my panties and bra, you know, or whatever, like when I'm running to the, you know, the kitchen or anything like that. And Erica's like, oh yeah, sure, no problem. So time goes on, keeps on going. And, you know, again, another man comes over, different from the guy that was over before. He looks like he's kind of just professional, like business casual. And he makes his way into Erica's room. He leaves out the next morning. So now at this point, you know, there's been 3 different instances. There was a woman and 2 men. And she's just like, are these her friends? Are they clients? Like, what's up, right? So she wants to confront Erica, but she doesn't want to rub her the wrong way, you know? So Camille decides to give Gideon a call, and she's like, Gideon, okay, so do you know any details about what she does for a living? She told me that she was a notary. And he was like, yeah, like that's what I know, that she's a mobile notary and that she does really well. Like she has a lot of clientele. And so she's like, okay, well, I'm just kind of curious. Like she had this woman that came over, you know, one night and left the next morning. Then these 2 guys came over on 2 different nights, but they left the next morning. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't think anything of it. And he was like, well, I mean, if you want to ask her and confront her about it, I think that she'd be cool about it. And so like, I don't think she's going to give you a hard time. And if there is something going on, I'm sure she'll tell you. And so she's like, okay, all right, I'll think about it. So, you know, she goes home and she's kind of sitting on that information. Now, there's a third instance that happens like a week later. Again, another man comes over. He's dressed nice. You know, looks like he's just maybe getting off work, makes his way into Erica's room. Same thing, leaves the next morning, right? So that night when she sees Erica, she is like, Erica, can we talk? She's like, yeah, what's up? What's going on? She's like, look, now, from what I know, you are a notary. She's like, yeah, I am. I've been a notary for about 5 years. And, you know, I love it. Like, it's a super easy business. I get to make my own schedule. Like, I love it. And she's like, okay, well, if you're a notary, you know, I noticed a couple of people coming in and out. I don't know if you're like dating like that, or is there something else that might be going on? And she was like, well, I'm an escort. And so, you know, Camilla's like, wait, I'm not here to be judgmental. That's just something that I think you should have told me before, you know, we signed a lease together. She was like, well, is it a problem? She was like, I mean, I'm not saying it's a problem. She was like, I mean, I hope not. You know, there's no difference, you know, in my clients coming over, you know, whether they're here for my escort services versus somebody coming over for my notary services, right? It's still strangers in your house that you don't know about, right? And so Camilla's just kind of like, well, I mean, again, it's something that you should have mentioned. She was like, all right, I get it. I should have brought it up. I should have said something, especially if people are going to be over here staying the night. So how about this? Everybody that's been over here so far are established clients. I will not bring anybody brand new over here. Everybody that comes over, they've been vetted. I know who they are. We spend time together. And, you know, I'm comfortable with them being in my space. That's why they stay the night. So, look, I'm going to have them come over, people that are established, no new clients. And also, too, to make you feel better, you know, because, again, I should have brought this up in the beginning. I'm going to pay rent, you know, the entire amount of our rent. You don't have to pay for next 6 months. And so Camilla's like, what? Are you serious? She's like, yeah, like, look, I got it. Don't worry about it. Like, I want to make you comfortable. And, again, that's just my bad. So I want to make up for it. Are you okay with that? And she was like, I mean, yeah, okay. She was like, all right, cool. So 6 months, I got you, you know, hold your money, save your money, invest whatever you want to do. But I'm going to hold things down. So she was like, all right, cool. So Camille obviously feels some kind of way as she started the conversation, but then feels differently towards the end of it because she's getting something out of this deal, right? So time goes on, you know, time goes on. And, you know, what Camille feels like she wants to do is that she really kind of wants to be as low key as possible. So she starts to spend way more time in her bedroom. Like, she's really just trying not to see these clients as they're coming in and out of the house, right? So she's going to work earlier. She bought a TV for her bedroom, you know what I'm saying? So she can spend as much time in her bedroom as possible. You know, she comes home, she gets whatever she needs out of the kitchen, kind of makes her way into her bedroom because her bathroom is also in her bedroom. So, you know, she really just kind of stays to herself, you know what I mean? But even in this effort of staying to herself and out of the way, she still sees Erica in passing, you know what I mean? So let's say about a week or two goes by where she's made these adjustments and, you know, things are fine, right? So the one day goes by, she doesn't see Erica. 2 days goes by, she doesn't see Erica. The third day goes by, and now she's starting to feel a little bit concerned, right? Now, not that they have to check in with each other to say, hey, I'm going here, going there. But, you know, they did agree that if we're going to take trips or be gone for extended periods of time, we would tell each other, you know, and Erica didn't mention anything, right? So her door is locked and she calls Erica's phone and her phone goes straight to voicemail. So she looks out of the window. Erica's car is also parked, you know, downstairs in her parking stall. So she's just kind of like, So she knocks on the door, doesn't hear anything moving on the other side of the door. And she's really, really having growing concern. Like, I hope she's okay. So she calls Gideon and she's like, Gideon, have you talked to Erica? And he's like, nah, I haven't talked to her, you know? And so she's like, if you don't mind, you know, I haven't seen her or heard from her in 3 days. Do you mind, you know, just asking your group of friends that you guys know, your mutual friends, if any of them had talked to her? And they're like, nah, nobody's talked to her. No presence of her on social media, nothing, right? So as all of this is really just not checking out and adding up, you know, Camille's getting more and more concerned. So now she's like, Gideon, can you come over? Because, I mean, her door is locked and we need to get inside. You know, I don't want to say anything to, you know, the managers. I just want to keep this in between us so we can kind of figure out what's going on. So can you come over? So Gideon, you know, gets off work, comes over. And, you know, Gideon is about 6'2", 240, 250. So he's a pretty solid dude. So Gideon, you know, looks at Camille. Camille looks at Gideon. They're both nervous at this point, you know, but he, you know, gets his shoulder ready and he rams into the door. And he rams into the door. He does it over and over again. Then he steps back and kind of gets a running start. And he throws himself into the door one final time and he comes off of the hinge. And their worst nightmare is on the other side of the door. Erica is laying in the bed. She's cold and she's lifeless. And there's no clue, no idea how long ago she may have died. And of course, as they look around the room, it doesn't look like any foul play or anything happened. Like, it doesn't look like she's been strangled or, There's no signs of blood or anything like that, but there are some pills, there's cocaine, sitting on her desk area, and they can assume, their assumption at this point is that she may have overdosed. But they call the police comes, and, Camille gives as much information as she can about, what happened, who was coming in and out of the apartment, the last people that she saw, and all that stuff, right? So she, they do whatever they have to do on their end, the police, after they question her. And, they do a toxicology report. They also do an autopsy, and it comes back that she did have a drug overdose, right? She had cocaine in her system, a very high level of it. So, and, at this point, Camilla's devastated. She's devastated. She's worried, about contacting Erica's family, so that they know. She feels overwhelmed. This is all over the news. So her job gives her some time off work because of everything that happened. And, it's just a lot to really just take in at this time. You know what I'm saying? And she also feels really uneasy about staying at their apartment. You know what I'm saying? Like, she just feels uncomfortable. Like, the fact that her roommate died, you know what I'm saying? Overdosed. And there was nothing she could do. There was nothing she could say to help her, to keep this from happening. And she didn't even know that Erica was, taking drugs. And it's like, does she do it with her clients? Was she doing it just by herself? Like, she just didn't know, you know what I'm saying? And because she was, Camille was making those efforts to really kind of be out of the way, she doesn't even know if anybody was at the house at the time when it happened, right? So again, she's just really processing and dealing with the heaviness of this happening, right? So, she can't really sleep at her apartment. So she calls Gideon, and Gideon is like, yeah, like, you're more than welcome to come to my place, stay as long as you want. I get it. Maybe a little time away, you'll start to feel better, be more comfortable, being in back in your place like that, right? So she goes to Gideon's house, and, things are okay the first couple nights, but then things kind of get out of hand. Like, Gideon he loves to turn up. He loves to have a good time. He has people coming in and out of his house, partying, drinking, loud music. They're doing karaoke. And she's like, look, I can't. And he's messy. So she's like, I can't do this. So she goes back to the apartment, and, she lights up some sage, some candles, and she's really just trying to cleanse, her apartment as best as she can, trying to get herself back in a place of just feeling better, and feeling comfortable being there. And as she's doing this, she finds herself like thinking about Jamil. She's thinking about Jamil, wondering what he's doing, how he's feeling, what he's up to, and just kind of wishing that he was around, because he just works well in any kind of situation, any kind of pressure. She also feels like that she would feel safe and feel comfortable if he was around, so she finds herself on his Facebook page. He hasn't really posted anything lately. Same thing on Instagram, not much going on there. And she just really, really misses him. So like a day or two after she checked his social media page, he calls her out of nowhere. Mind you, they haven't talked at all since they ended things and she moved to San Francisco. So she answers his call immediately, like the second ring, and she's like, hello? And he's like, hey, like, I don't know, is now a good time to talk? She's like, yeah, I could talk. And he's like, I've been thinking about you like crazy, and I miss you. I miss you, and like, it's a lot of shit going on, and you were like the only person I feel like I could talk to, you know what I mean, to talk to and just like be honest about what's happening and what's going on. And she's like, what's up? He's just like, yo, I got fired from my job. I'm about to lose my apartment. Like, everything just feels like it's, coming from underneath me. Like, I just, like, it's just so much. She was like, nah, I'm sorry to hear all of that. And she's like, I'm going through it too. She was like, my fucking roommate, just died from a drug overdose, and I just haven't been able to sleep. I've been just having all these different emotions. And he was like, damn, I'm sorry to hear that. And so she's just like, look, I don't know. How do you feel about coming to San Francisco? Like, I would love it if you were here. We probably could use each other right now just to, be around somebody familiar. You know what I'm saying? And somebody that, we still love each other. That's never going to change. And he's like, yeah, like, I would love to come. And she's like, I'm gonna get you a ticket. And he was like, look, you know what? I don't want to fly. You know how I feel about flying, but I would love to make that drive. I know that California is about 18, 20 hours away. And, yeah, I would love to just have that drive and just clear my head on the road. You know what I'm saying? So she was like, all right, bet, I'm gonna send you some money for gas. And he was like, okay, I'll see you soon. So he gets on the road and he makes his way to California, right? And he's calling her along the way, checking in, when he's getting to different states and, getting on different highways and stuff like that. And he eventually makes his way to San Francisco. And when they see each other, y'all, it's just pure bliss. Like, they pretty much just melt in each other's arms. Like, they just pick up right where they left off. You know, they catch up on what's been happening, you know, because they haven't seen each other for about, 8 months at this point, 8 months or so. And they're catching up. How is life been? What is going on? Like, you know, how are you feeling? How's your family? Just everything, right? Because, you know, they were soulmates. They were supposed to make it. They were supposed to be together. They were supposed to get married. So they just are, this is exactly what they both need at this point, pretty much, right? So, you know, he's there. He's like, I'm gonna be here for a while. You know, if you're good with that. She's like, absolutely, I'm good with that. I feel safe with you here. I feel comfortable with you being here. You know, when I have to go to work and come back, make yourself at home. And they're just spending a lot of time in the house because he's really a homebody anyway. So they're spending a lot of time in the house. You know, he's cooking, she's cooking, they're watching movies, you know, rewatching old shows that they used to watch while they were together. So it feels really nostalgic, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, are they going to get back together? Who knows? But they just kind of go on with the flow at this point and just allowing this moment to be what it is, right? And it just feels good, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, they don't know what the next steps are, but Camille knows that she also needs to get Erica's room together. Because, I mean, at this point, she needs to plan for having another roommate. Because there's no way she can pay this rent by herself until this lease is up. You know what I'm saying? So she has to plan for that. So she's like, look, can we go to, you know, a hardware store? I want to get some paint to paint the room. And just, you know, maybe that fresh paint will also make me feel better. So even when you leave, I can just feel better. You know, the energy can feel better in her room. And so they hop into Jamil's car and they're on their way to the hardware store. So it's about 8 o'clock at night. And they're about 3 or 4 miles away from the hardware store when they hear sirens. And Jamil looks up in his, you know, mirror and he keeps on driving. And Camille isn't too concerned because she's just kind of like, well, if it's the police, if they're just trying to get by, like, you need to just pull over real quick to the side of the road, let them go, and then we can keep on going, right? So a couple seconds go by and Jamil's now driving faster. And clearly the sirens are behind them. So the police are behind them at this point. And she's like, Jamil, what are you doing? Pull over. And he's like, give me a second. And she's like, give you a second for what? Pull over. The police is behind us. And he's like, hold on, give me a second. And so at this point, he's now picking up speed. So they're on the street, okay? They're at 50. They're going about 50 at this point. He picks up to about 60. And now they're going about 70. And he's just weaving in and out of traffic. He's ran a couple of red lights. And she's like, Jamil, what are you doing? He's like, just give me a sec. Give you a second for what? Come on. Like, this is a fucking high speed chase now. And she turns around and there's 3 cop cars behind him. There's 3 cars behind us. Jamil, pull over. And so she's scared at this point. She is terrified. And he's like, just sit back and relax. Do not tell me to fucking relax. Can you pull over? Like, I'm not trying to be an accessory to whatever the fuck is going on. Why are you running from the police? Am I missing something? Just give you a second for what, Jamil? You need to start fucking talking right now. What is it? What's going on? Why don't you just pull over? What is the problem? Look, something happened. Something happened like what? Something happened back in New Mexico. Okay, something happened like what? I mean, but are the police looking for you now? This could be a routine traffic stop. How do you know they're looking for you? Because I'm just assuming that they are. I'm assuming that they are. Okay, what did you do? I didn't do anything. I did not do anything. As he continues to pick up speed, they're going like 80 at this point. Cars are swerving out of the way. They kind of go on the curb a little bit. He misses a telephone pole. He almost hits a truck that's backing up, and they continue to ride. And they're going through red lights. And she is fucking scared. She's scared for her life. She's just clenching onto the side of the door. And she's like, Jamil, please stop. I'm scared. And he's just like, it wasn't my fault. What happened? What wasn't your fault? Talk to me. Just know. I need you to know that it just wasn't my fault, okay? That's all I need you to know, that I promise you that it wasn't supposed to happen like that. I didn't mean to do it. I believe you. I believe you, Jamil, that you didn't, that you, whatever it is that you did mean for it to happen. I believe you. And you believe me? I do. Baby, I believe you. You've never lied to me before, and I know you wouldn't start now. Okay, now let's pull over so we can tell the police the same thing. They're not going to fucking believe me. They're not going to believe me. They're not going to listen to me. They're going to throw my ass in jail and my life is over. No, it's not. Your life is not over because you know what, baby? Guess what? I also want to start a family with you. All right? Remember how I felt? I felt like I didn't want to have kids and stuff like that. You are the person that I want to have a family with. Now, if you pull over, we can talk to the police, and the sooner we can get home to start the family that I want to have with you. Okay? Can you please pull over? He's like, I swear to you that I promise you that it was an accident. I never meant for it. No, I know it was an accident, Jamil. And we're going to tell the police that. I promise to tell them that it was an accident, okay? Okay, so pull over, okay? Look, okay, you've almost hit a couple of cars. This is not how you want it to end, okay? Anything could happen at this point. Please pull over. And so finally he does. He finds an area and he just slows down. And the police are surprised that he just slows down all of a sudden, and he does. And then, of course, they both comply. They put their hands out of the windows. They get out of the car. They climb out slowly. They get onto their knees, and they get onto the ground. The police have their guns drawn. The helicopters are out, and they approach them, and they run up on them. They have their knees and their backs, making sure that they can get them, apprehend them. So Camille's face is planted in the ground like this, and she can see underneath the car. So she can see like the commotion. She can see Jamil also on the ground trying to be apprehended. She can also see that he's tussling, he's resisting arrest. And so she's yelling out because she doesn't want anything to happen to him. She's like, Jamil. She's like, stop. And as soon as he, hears her voice a couple of times, he really slows down and he calms down and he stops putting up a fight. So at that point, the police are able to apprehend him. They put the cuffs on him. They stand him up and they lean him up against the car. And they're like, Jamil Watkins, you're under arrest for the murder of Kenya Burke. So all Camille can focus on is the word murder. Her life for the last 6 years flashes in front of her eyes. There's no way that this man that she was with, that she fell in love with, that she wanted to marry, that she traveled with, that, was so good with his family, there's no way that he's capable of murder. What? No, that can't be the Jamil that she knows. This has to be somebody else. He said it was an accident, so this is impossible, right? So fast forward, at this point, they trying to charge her with harboring a fugitive, right? And she's like, I'm not harboring a fugitive. I don't even know what's going on. When the police started following us, they put their sirens on us. He started talking about something was an accident. I had no idea he was involved in anything. And she's like, you can check my phone records, my social media. We were together, but we haven't been together for the last 8 months. I haven't talked to him. I haven't texted him. Like, if I was harboring somebody, there'd be evidence that we were communicating, and that's not the truth. He called me one day. I was going through something. He was going through something, and I just thought it was a good idea for him to come out here and get away for a little bit, because I could use the company. And that's just not, trust me, I'm not harboring a fugitive. I will comply and do whatever you want me to do, but that's just not the case. That's not what's going on here. I promise you that. You have my word. So eventually, Camille is able to clear her name. Everything that she said checked out. She wasn't harboring a fugitive. She just simply asked Jamil to come over. The timing was good for the both of them, and she clears her name. But he is, in fact, sent back to New Mexico, to face his murder charges against Kenya Burke. And he is found guilty of these murder charges as well. So what it turns out is that when he decided to start dating, he went on a dating app. He met a woman named Kenya. Things started taking off between them. They weren't necessarily in a relationship, but they spent a lot of time together. And they were also having sex and stuff like that. And what happened is that Kenya got pregnant and she had an abortion. She did not want a baby. She wasn't ready for a child. And also, too, they weren't in a relationship. So she just decided to get the abortion. Now, she told Jamil after the fact. So as I told y'all in the beginning, Jamil really, really wants to be a father. This is like a big deal for him, right? And when he heard her, say that she got an abortion and she made that decision without him, he snapped. He lunged at her. He started choking her. And he just went blank. It was he just went blank. By the time he came to, he had already, she taken her last breath and it was too late. And he got scared. He tried to get rid of the body. And, that's when he reached out to Camille. You know what I'm saying? Like, he basically, wanted to go somewhere that the police wouldn't suspect where he was. It was just too easy to find him at his mom, his dad's, his auntie's house, his grandmother's house, his brother's house. That was too easy. So he went to somebody that, he knew probably would, make time for him, would be okay with him visiting, would be okay with him spending some time, for a while. And it just kind of worked out. So when he called Camille, she was going through something and she could use the company, as she was trying to get acclimated into being in her apartment after her roommate died. So that's the story. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, believe it or not, a lot of these things happen a lot. I was just kind of doing some research as I was putting this story together, and they were talking about how people get charged for harboring a fugitive because you had no idea what was going on with your friend or your ex or your sister or whoever, and you're spending time with them. You're taking a road trip with them, and here you are helping somebody to escape or get away from something that you have no idea is going on. So that's the story, you guys. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up. I'll be back on Thursday with another story time. All right. I'll meet y'all in the comments. Make the best of the day. Be good to yourself. Peace.
I be beaming, I be booming. booming down that block. Everywhere you go, you know they know I'm hot.